Anna's obsession is expanding, and Carly may be the next name on the list. Let us start with Anna, because the trajectory of his storyline has just taken a turn that changes the danger level for an entirely different group of people and raises the stakes of everything that is already in motion. Here is where we have been. Anna came back from her time at a mental health facility in France, presenting a recovery that has turned out to be, at best, incomplete, and at worst a performance constructed to allow her to function, while something deeply wrong continues to operate underneath. The hallucinations of Peter have not stopped. They have sharpened. They have become more specific and more demanding in what they are pushing Anna toward. And the target that Peter has been building a case for in Anna's fractured mind has been Britt, framed as the malevolent legacy of a father whose damage Anna could never fully escape. That threat to Britt remains very real and very active. But now something new is being introduced into the equation. Peter is beginning to notice Carly. Specifically, Peter is noticing that Valentine, who Anna has always had a complicated and protective relationship with, bound by shared history and mutual understanding, and the particular kind of trust that comes from having navigated genuinely dangerous things together, is spending his time and his emotional energy on Carly instead of being available to Anna when she needs him. From inside Anna's distorted reality, where Peter's voice carries enormous weight and his interpretations of everything around her feel authoritative and real, this observation lands as a problem. Valentine is being distracted. He is choosing Carly over his availability to Anna. And Peter, who is steering Anna toward a worldview where everything is measured by whether it helps or hinders the revenge he is pushing her toward, is going to find a way to make that distraction feel like a threat rather than simply an inconvenience. Anna is going to try to warn Valentine away from Carly. She is going to present concerns, a whole catalog of them, about why this relationship is not a good idea and why Valentine should reconsider. On the surface, some of those concerns might even sound reasonable. Carly has a complicated history. The world Carly moves in carries its own set of dangers. Anna, in a fully healthy state, would have opinions about Valentine's romantic choices that could be delivered in a measured and caring way. But Anna is not in a fully healthy state. And Valentine, who is genuinely smitten with Carly in a way that this show has built carefully and believably over the course of the summer, is not going to receive Anna's warnings the way she is hoping he will. He is going to defend what he has with Carly. He is going to push back. He is going to assure Anna that he has the situation under control, that Carly is not a danger to him or to her, that everything is fine. And none of that is going to satisfy Peter. Because Peter's influence over Anna is not about logic. It is not about evidence or argument or the kind of reassurance that reasonable people accept from people they trust. It is about a compulsion that is building inside Anna, regardless of what the people around her say or do. And Peter, denied his preferred solution to the Valentine-Carly situation through persuasion, is going to pivot. He is going to reframe the problem. He is going to start making the case that Carly herself is the obstacle, not just a distraction, a problem that needs to be addressed directly. Peter already pushed Anna toward Britt. He made the case that Britt needed to face a grim fate, and Anna has been edging toward that without anyone around her fully understanding what is happening. Now, if Peter starts building the same kind of case about Carly, suggesting that Carly is a distraction that needs to be eliminated, a problem that needs to be dealt with, Anna's already dangerous trajectory expands to include someone with an enormous number of people who love her and would respond to her being threatened with everything they have. Sonny would respond. Jason would respond. Every person in the Corinthos orbit, every person connected to Carly through the decades of her life in Port Charles, every person who has ever been protected by her or stood alongside her. All of them become relevant the moment Carly is in danger. Carly is also not without her own defenses. She is not a passive person. She has survived genuinely life-threatening situations through a combination of instinct and stubbornness, and the particular kind of luck that tends to follow people who refuse to give up. But being targeted by someone she trusts, someone she has no reason to view as a threat, someone who looks from the outside like the formidable and in-control law enforcement figure she has always been, that is a different kind of danger than what Carly has typically navigated. A plan going wrong in Carly's world in the coming days adds another layer of vulnerability. If Carly's own scheme misfires at the same moment that Anna's attention is shifting toward her, she could find herself in a genuinely exposed position. No backup from the right direction. No awareness of where the real threat is coming from. Valentine being in the middle of all of this, the man both Anna and Carly are connected to, the man whose romantic choices have become the trigger for a new chapter in Anna's deteriorating mental state, is a position he does not yet understand he is occupying. He thinks he is having a conversation with an old friend about his love life. He does not know that conversation is happening inside a crisis that has already moved past the point where his reassurances can contain it. Poor Charles better start paying attention to Anna. And fast. Jack and Tristan and the personal history that nobody has named yet. Now let us talk about Jack and Tristan, because this storyline has been developing in the background of everything else all summer, and it is loaded with the kind of dramatic potential that explodes when it finally surfaces. Start with what the hospital officially knows about Tristan. He is a heart surgeon. He has a background working at a WSB-affiliated medical facility. The personnel department is aware of that history and cleared him accordingly. That is the official version, the one Tristan presented when Britt, whose instincts went on high alert the moment she realized who he was, confronted him directly in a private office at the hospital. Britt's radar activated because Jason had warned her. Jason, who had spent the entire flight back from Jakarta sitting next to Tristan, told Britt to be careful, that this man had been his escort from the WSB facility and that his actual role and motives were not entirely clear. Jason was still calibrating, still trying to figure out whether Tristan was a genuine doctor or something more complicated. And Britt, hearing that, responded the way Britt responds to anything that feels like a threat to her position or her safety. She went directly at it. What Tristan told her in that confrontation satisfied her enough to stand down. He explained the WSB hospital connection. He suggested she find a therapist for her anxiety about it, and he presented himself as someone who was simply there to practice medicine, not to track her, not to report on her. But the interaction between Tristan and Jack tells a completely different story. When Jack came to the hospital to check in on Tristan, to see how he was settling in and whether he had anything to report, the dynamic in that room was not professional. It was not the interaction of a WSB chief touching base with an operative or an asset or a new contact. It was charged with something personal and uncomfortable and immediately apparent to anyone paying close attention. Tristan was irritated. Not professionally annoyed, personally irritated, in the specific way that someone becomes when a person from their private life shows up in their professional space without invitation. He told Jack flatly that if there was anything to report, he would report it, that there was nothing right now, and that he did not want Jack coming to find him at the hospital. He did not want the WSB's presence visible at his workplace. That request, delivered with the sharp edges of someone who has had this boundary violated before and is extremely tired of having to reestablish it, does not sound like an agent managing a supervisor. It sounds like someone managing a relationship that they did not choose and cannot fully escape. And the body language. The irritation that reads as something older than a professional disagreement. The sense that whatever is between these two men has history that predates the WSB connection entirely. There is animosity on Tristan's side that goes somewhere personal, somewhere that the professional framework they are operating within barely contains.
So, what is the history?
Here is where the storytelling becomes genuinely compelling. The clues that have been laid down point towards something that is almost too perfectly constructed for this genre. The possibility that Jack is Tristan's biological father. Not in a way that was acknowledged or embraced or built into any kind of meaningful relationship. In the way that things happen in the complicated private lives of people who operate in secret-filled worlds. An affair, a woman who is already committed to someone else, a child born into a family that did not include the biological father, and a truth that emerged later in a way that changed everything. If Tristan grew up with a man he loved as his father, built his identity and his sense of himself around that relationship, and then discovered as an adult that Jack was the actual biological father, the product of an affair that broke up something stable and good, then every element of the interactions we have been watching makes complete sense. The acrimony, the refusal to be available, the insistence that Jack stay away from his professional life, the sense that Tristan is tolerating Jack's presence in his world because he cannot entirely avoid it. not because he has any desire for connection. And Jack, for his part, showing up anyway. Checking in. Looking for a report that is probably not the real reason he came to the hospital. The possibility that underneath the professional framing, Jack is trying to maintain some thread of contact with a son who does not want him there, that reads true across every scene these two have shared. This secret, when it comes out fully, is going to matter to everyone around both of them. Britt, who has her own complicated relationship with parentage and discovery and the revelations that reshape your understanding of your own life. Jason, who came back with Tristan and who has been trying to figure out exactly what Tristan is and whether he can be trusted. Anna, who has her own long history with Jack and who, in a healthy state, would have a great deal to say about this revelation. The most soapy secrets are the ones that touch multiple characters simultaneously, that use the past to illuminate the present, that make you look back at everything you have already seen and understand it differently. The Jack and Tristan secret is exactly that kind of revelation. It has been in the room this whole time. And when it finally gets named, Port Charles is going to feel it in every direction. Everything is connected, and the summer's biggest revelations are still coming. And now let us step back and look at the full canvas, because what General Hospital has constructed this summer is a web of connections so tight and so deliberately built that understanding any one story requires understanding how it feeds into every other one. Carly is connected to Valentine. Valentine is connected to Anna. Anna is connected to Britt through her hallucinations. Britt is connected to Tristan. Tristan is connected to Jack. Jack is connected to Willow and Nina through the leverage he holds over Drew. Drew is connected to Michael through Aurora and through Willow. Michael is connected to Trina and Kai through the truth they are holding about the night Drew was shot. And Trina is connected to a stalker whose identity is still unknown, and whose story connects to Hudson, who connects to Ethan, who connects to Lulu, who connects to Dante and Rocco and everything happening around the Cullum shooting. Every thread touches every other thread. Nothing exists in isolation. Every secret that surfaces changes the shape of at least 3 other stories simultaneously. This is not accident. This is construction. Careful, deliberate, sophisticated storytelling that has been laying groundwork all summer for a series of revelations that will arrive close together and reshape the entire landscape of Port Charles in ways that take the rest of the year to fully process. The Anna crisis is the most urgent immediate danger. Not because it is the most dramatically complex, though it is genuinely complex, but because it has the potential to harm people who are not equipped to defend themselves against the specific threat it represents. Britt does not know to look for danger from Anna. Carly is not going to anticipate it. The people who love both of them need to start connecting the dots about what Anna is actually going through before the hallucination driving her reaches its logical endpoint. Jason is in the best position to do that connecting. He noticed something in his conversation with Anna. He filed it away. He is not dropping that observation. And everything he is learning about Britt's situation, about the omission she kept from him about Cassius, all of that is putting him in a frame of mind where he is recalibrating his understanding of several people and situations simultaneously. The moment Jason's attention lands fully on Anna's mental state, the situation changes. Jack and Tristan's secret is the one with the longest fuse and the largest blast radius when it finally detonates. Because it is not just a secret about 2 people, it is a secret about identity, about legitimacy, about the things people discover about themselves that force them to rebuild their understanding of who they are and where they came from. And in Port Charles, where family secrets have the power to rewrite entire histories, that kind of revelation tends to echo for a very long time. The summer is moving toward its biggest moments. The threads that have been laid so carefully across so many episodes are approaching the point where they start to pull on each other in ways that cannot be controlled. Secrets that have been managed are about to become unmanageable. People who have been safe in their compartmentalized worlds are about to find those walls coming down. And through all of it, the audience, all of us who have been watching and talking and theorizing and caring about these people for longer than we sometimes remember, gets to see whether the stories we have been invested in pay off the way the best summer stories always should. They're going to. Everything that has been planted is growing toward something worth watching.